Just want to make a little video here because I think it sort of stresses the importance of detail and accuracy. This is an analysis document we use for all kinds of things actually, but at the moment I'm using it to make this document all over here, which is the exact wording that should be accepted for OCR linear A-level physical education. We've got a question here. It was on question 60 on summer 2020. Describe the short-term effects of performing at high altitude on the cardiovascular and respiratory system. So on the face of it, 2 marks for cardiovascular, 2 marks for respiratory seems really straightforward. What are the effects? But I want to just take you across to the mark screen because I think this is really interesting. I hope you guys can see that okay. I know it's not super clear. But first of all, it says cardiovascularly, if we get to altitude, we're going to have an increased heart rate. That is absolutely correct. Okay, so that is absolutely true. But it then goes on to state a decrease in stroke volume, a decrease in maximal cardiac output, a decrease in blood plasma volumes. All of these points are incorrect. Okay, so these are not actual effects of being at altitude. If we go back to what stroke volume and therefore of course what cardiac output refers to, it is a volume of blood. Okay, it is not a quantity of oxygen. It is not how thick the blood is with saturated hemoglobin and therefore oxygen. It is simply saying how much blood leaves the left ventricle. Now that will not change apart from the most marginal aspect because the heart itself will be slightly less efficient because of course it's receiving less oxygen. But these points here for that reason are not correct. There is not a decrease in stroke volume. There is not a decrease in maximal cardiac output. The volume, remember, not what it's delivering, just the volume of blood. And there's not a decrease in blood plasma unless we become, for example, dehydrated. This, however, is true. Reduced hemoglobin saturations. That's the point. We've got the same amount of blood, but there's less oxygen in it. So these 3 points are all incorrect. So I'm not trying to knock OCR here. I guess it's an easy mistake, but when you step back from this, it's a fundamental mistake because we are just broadly using terms like stroke volume, cardiac output. These are specific values, and therefore they have specific meaning. I hadn't actually looked at these, but respiratory, an increase in tidal volume, yes, we would breathe more deeply. That's true. An increase in breathing rate, that's true. So these are all fine. So decreased diffusion gradient, slower rate of diffusion, these are all fine. But these 3 absolutely should not be identified as changes that would happen in altitude exercise conditions in the short term. Anyway, I hope that's useful, and I hope I'm not coming across as negative. I just feel like that needs to be clarified. All respect to OCR, you guys do great papers, but I just thought I'd raise that.